Hudson Yards under construction. Right next to the beautiful Moynihan Station. Vornado spent about $1 billion on this. Vornado is a real estate investment trust, and it's right next to Madison Square Garden. Right at the corner of 31st and 9th Avenue. View of the Hudson Yards and the projects going on. These are most of the finished buildings. We'll see a little bit later the buildings still under construction. And this trestle here, formerly a railroad trestle, is part of the High Line. They want to extend it from here on 10th Avenue. They want it to go all the way to Madison Square Garden, which will be beautiful when they're able to do that. You can see here, it just ends right here, but it can easily be extended. And you can see here where it would be extended. So much construction going on all around here. And at 33rd and 10th Avenue, more construction. Just a closer look at some of these buildings going up.
A case falls on the cookies. Now I gotta pay for them because you guys are happy.
Just a beautiful job that's getting done here. And that's looking north on 33rd and 10th Avenue. You can see all the construction that's been done. And this is looking south. And that railroad trestle is part of the High Line, which they want to extend. And then if we look all the way up, there's an observation deck, one of the tallest exterior observation decks in the United States, called The Edge. And you can see here, there's a sign for getting tickets for The Edge. Here at 35th and 10th Avenue, you can see even more construction going on. It's going to be many years before they finally finish all the construction. And you can see a lot of buildings that are very low-rise buildings here. They're not going to last long. Like, just look here, looking east on 35th and 10th Avenue, you can see, for example, all these buildings that are here that eventually will go by the wayside because it just makes sense. It's way too valuable to have much larger buildings here, and that's what'll happen. All part of the Hudson Yards development. And here, right on the corner of 34th and 10th Avenue and 35th and 10th Avenue, you can see this other tall building that is continuing its construction. And again, part of Hudson Yards. And you can see a greenish glass building in the distance. That's the Jacob Javits Center. A little quiet now because everything in New York is very quiet, but it'll start getting busy soon once the summer comes. Again, at the corner of 35th and 10th, you can see this other building that's still rising, and it'll be completed soon. That's where they used to have a gas station and a McDonald's. They wanted to put this tall building up. And as I mentioned in some earlier videos, they paid about $120 million to acquire the space for the McDonald's. That was part of the space on the plot of land that they built, but they needed that McDonald's and that space to get this building up. And that's why when you're the last holdout for people who are acquiring property, you could really do very, very well. Just a little bit different perspective from 36th and 10th Avenue. You can see this parking lot. Well, you can bet there are plans for this parking lot. With all these other tall buildings going up around the parking lot, you can just imagine someone is going to make a lot of money developing that. You can see all the other buildings here. This is just a chance to get a little perspective. Then even here you can see from 36th and 10th looking toward 36th and 11th, like all the empty space that there is for future development. all part of the Hudson Yards plans. And just looking around a little bit, you can see all the buildings around here. And there in the distance, you can see the Empire State Building. That's how close we are. The Empire State Building is at 5th Avenue and 34th Street. It's so tall that it looks like it's very close. And here, we even have a gas station. Now, you can bet it's not gonna last long. Like, whoever owns this space in the gas station will probably be offered double, triple, quadruple what the space is worth, because some developer would want to put some buildings up. But I don't think anytime soon. I think there's so much going on around here that it wouldn't make sense for any developer to try to acquire it right now. Even though it's going to get more valuable later on, they're probably going to wait, because the owner of that property will wait until other developments occur around here and then ask for probably 8 times what they might get right now, or 10 times what they might get, and they'll probably get it because it'll be a valuable space with all these other buildings having gone up in the Hudson Yards. What magnificent construction. Look at, just, here's all this empty space ready for future development. We're on 36th Street between 10th Avenue and 11th Avenue, looking at some of these projects from another angle. And you can see in the distance the Jacob Javits Center. This is why all this area around the Hudson Yards is so prime. There's so much that's going to be able to go on here. And these are the buildings that have already been put up in the Hudson Yards, part of the first phase. And there's so many more buildings that are supposed to go up in the next 10 years. This is still 36th between 10th and 11th, but just a better view of all the construction that's going on. You can see here another massive project that's going to be going on here. Once everything gets back to normal, it's going to be incredible just to see everything. What a great job everyone is doing. can see here another center structure going up for another massive building. And again, this is all right next to the Jacob Javits Center. You can see all the empty space around here, just ready for new construction. Then even here, there's a park that serves as another entrance for the 34th Street Hudson Yards subway entrance for the number 7 train. A lot of advanced planning was going on for this. Construction, construction, construction. Constantly busy around here. This is actually Monday for Martin Luther King Day. But you can see, even though it's Monday, all the activity going on. It's a national holiday, kind of official, semi-official, but still very busy. And all the buildings that have gone up already around here. Another beautiful construction job here. It's probably the core of a much taller building. And that's right on 12th Avenue next to the Jacob Javits Center. They actually, a number of years ago, wanted to tear down the Jacob Javits Center and put up the Convention Center in Queens, but many people said that doesn't make any sense, and I agree. Like, it's going to be perfect. I think really what they wanted, but they didn't mention it, is probably they wanted the space, the land space, to put up even more buildings. But I think the powers that be thought, you know, that doesn't make any sense to spend $1 billion or $2 billion more to put up another convention center in Queens when you have a beautiful convention center here in Manhattan. Another view of something we saw when we were on 36th and 10th. You can see this is the empty space that's here. Railroad tracks go underneath here. And again, the green glass building is the Jacob Javits Center. A little quiet right now for obvious reasons. Not much going on in January 2021 in New York. And here we are at 36th and 11th, just to see the beautiful ongoing construction at Hudson Yards. Even though it's apart from where the main buildings are, the Hudson Yards, this area, 36 and 11, is still considered part of the Hudson Yards. You can see all the empty space that's going to be utilized for construction later on. You can see here another building going up, and they actually built an extension of the Jacob Javits Center. You can see the building with the green glass. That is actually an extension of the Jacob Javits Center, just to provide more space for different events that are going on in New York. And once you go into the Jacob Javits Center, then you can appreciate how much work was put into it, how beautiful it is. So much space on the inside of the Jacob Javits Center. What a beautiful job of construction everyone has done here. From this vantage point of 38th and 11th, just a different view, looking south on 11th Avenue, right next to the Jacob Javits Center. You can see, again, lots that are ready to go. It's just a matter of when. All these low-lying buildings too, that also are ready to go. Just beautiful buildings all around here. We're right on 34th Street near 11th Avenue, just to show everyone how far a lot of these buildings have come. Now, right here on 11th and 34th Street is going to be a Moynihan property. They're teamed up with Boston Properties. It's going to be right on the corner, right next to the Jacob Javits Center. What a beautiful place to be. Now, I think there's going to be a lot of companies that are going to team up in this area. My theory is Amazon is looking for a lot of space. My theory is Amazon is probably going to acquire a few of these office buildings. They have the cash and they need the space, so why not create a campus in the Hudson Yards, or Facebook even too. This is new space. It's going to be great for technology because they're going to put the best and the highest speed technology in place, so it will make a lot of sense to focus on the Hudson Yards. Now, this building here, even though we're getting a partial look at it, it has a very solid concrete core. And they have different styles for buildings, but when they were constructing it, that's what they wanted to do for that building. That's the same building that was where the McDonald's was, where they paid $125 million for the space, just for the McDonald's space, and the kind of small space around the McDonald's, because they needed it. Well, they needed the space to construct this office building. And it's part of the related group that is putting up this office building here. And we're looking east on 34th Street. And this is between 11th and 10th Avenue. At 8th Avenue and 34th Street is Madison Square Garden. So that's how close we are to everything. It's Martin Luther King Day on January 18th, 2021. And you can see how quiet it is at Hudson Yards. A lot of people are at home. You know, they'd rather not go out right now. But it's a beautiful setting here. And Martin Luther King Day is kind of like an official holiday, yet not an official holiday, like President's Day. So some companies are working, some companies have their employees off. But you can see this beautiful space here around the Hudson Yards. Magnificent. Magnificent buildings that have gone up. Really, really well done. And right here is the park, but it's also the entryway for the 34th Street and Hudson Yards station. So convenient. A closer look at some of the buildings that have gone up. And again, the green glass building that we're going to see is the Jacob Javits Center. Magnificent when you go inside. Just so impressive. So much space. Magnificent piece of construction. And there, the extra building that looks a little bit more modern is the extension for the Jacob Javits Center. A few years to build that. But what a great job also. Part of the vibrancy of a city is having the space for a lot of events that go on, and the hotel space too. But the space is very, very important. And as I pointed out earlier, there's all these buildings that are going to be going up right next to the Jacob Javits Center, which is going to be just magnificent. This is going to be like a city within a city, having all these buildings at the Hudson Yards. You can see all these magnificent buildings around here. Just incredible.